Hello everyone, my name is Ray Gehring, guitar teacher and player here in Brooklyn, New York. I want to speak about 5 of some of the most toxic phrases I've read on YouTube in the guitar space. Let's just start with real guitarists play with thick strings and high action. Or in my case, if you don't play jazz with thick strings, high action, and a hollow body with only one pickup in the front, this one, you're not a real guitarist. The whole issue of string gauge, I think we've settled that. If you haven't, there are many people with videos on string gauge. Check them out. All my guitars have different string gauges. I let the guitar tell me. Now, again, this is something that I definitely safeguard. That may be psychological. But for me, a guitar will tell me what gauge it prefers. Just the feel, the vibration of the instrument on the fingertips. Again, I wouldn't even have to hear the guitar. It would just be the way that I feel a vibration in my hand. Only legit players play jazz or classical, and if you don't read music, you're not legitimate. So for me also, if you didn't study guitar, if you didn't go to school for it, the truth is 75% of my education could be done on YouTube today. What we paid for was information that wasn't readily available. We paid for access and networking. You know, the other 25% I would say is the personal coaching, the one-on-one, and also, you know, the pep talks, the counseling, the getting us through becoming a musician, which is definitely not easy. So keep in mind that it's a time where anybody can be a fantastic guitarist if you play with a bunch of pedals and really nice amp. With distortion, of course, you're going to sound good. Anybody could sound good with that kind of equipment. That's cheating. That's another one. Well, that guitarist is clearly only successful because they're good looking or lucky, or they can buy all this fancy equipment, and that's what's driving their popularity. Tone is in the fingers. Now, when I'm thinking about tone, there are 2 ways to approach it. One is the tone that you're producing with the skin of your finger or the pad of your finger and how much skin is touching the string. A tone always refers to sound to begin with. Some people will say, I really like your sound. Now that probably refers more to how they play the instrument, how they're phrasing things, how they play things. So tone really is in the fingers. Everything comes down to how you touch the instrument, how you pluck the instrument, how you pick on the string. After that, to me, everything refers to sound. Another one is, and I love this one, tube amps versus digital amps or modeling amps. Ever since the 1970s, digital and analog have lived side by side rather well in perfect harmony, and no one seems to have had a problem until recently, people arguing about whether you're playing a tube amp or whether you're using a mod. Now, this is running through an IR as well, so it's both. None of my younger students, anybody under the age of, let's say, 23, none of them have modelers. None of them use even modeling amps or have any, multi-effect processor. None of them. They're all amplifiers, and they're all analog. However you get the sound out of the instrument is perfect. You'll never be great unless you started young. Me, I'm 56 years old, and I think for the generation older than me, they heard that quite a bit. I think people were far more judgmental in terms of who could be a real musician and who wasn't. In my experience, 35 years of teaching, I've never come across an older player above 60 or 65 that couldn't get it down and become a better player fairly quickly. If you can still physically play the instrument, you're going to do all right. The great thing about being in 2025 or in the 2020s is you are free to play whatever you'd like, whatever style of music, in whatever way gets you there. We as humans are really used to safeguarding and gatekeeping our opinions. They're very important to us. We find a lot of safety and comfort, security in what we already hold or what we hold true, what we think represents ourselves as individuals. And it's really hard to part from that. It's hard to, make peace in an amicable split with the ego and the humility, or the ego and just finding, some peace of mind to get through each day. Keep in mind, when you read negative comments and people going at it, what you're really seeing are guitarists or musicians who in their own lives have a certain sense of pain going on, or frustration with their own playing, or just things going on in their life that get projected onto the guitar and then get projected onto other people on the internet. And like I said, we are in a time where everybody can do things their own way. And I'm going to say that to anybody who's 80, to anybody who's 18. Nobody out there could possibly be as judgmental as I have been in my past. Look, there's something that both of my parents said to me one time, is that you're not worried about being correct, you just want to be right. And that makes a lot of sense. I don't want judgments to cloud or to take up any rent in my mind for very long. All of us can get triggered, and it's a natural thing to do. It's just, again, when you begin to feel that way, the difference is how long you let that feeling last and how you get through that. Everybody is free to have their own interpretation of what any of these things mean. I mean, we live in our own heads. We have to negotiate how we think about things. But again, just be mindful that other people have different ways of explaining it. And it's best not to jump down somebody's throat by arguing one thing or another. Please click like and subscribe if you'd like to. You can also join my YouTube channel. You can get to me on Patreon as well. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will see you on the next video.